All right. Well, we're going to get started right about now. About 3 minutes, we're going to get started. Still waiting on, this was a real quick, fast, impromptu video just to kind of start getting things ready. We're going to call this series Trading Flow. Let's see if I can clear that. Clear all drawing. Cursive. No cursive. Apparently. Kids today don't know how to read cursive. Trading flow. And I don't know how to write regular. With 5-minute trades. All right, there we are. So in about 2 minutes, we'll get started. A couple things we're going to work on. And I'll have slides for the next videos and everything, but this is just a temporary put together, just to kind of give you a quick heads up about what's happened and how things are going to work over at ye old Dex Trader. Starting in a couple of seconds here. Okay. How you doing, everybody? My name is Max Farrow. This is Dex Trader, and you're probably watching us either on Facebook, or if you're watching us directly, or maybe you're watching the recording. We're going to talk about trading flow today, and we're going to be doing this with some 5-minute trades within our process. So I want you to be able to take some time here and get yourself settled. We have a concept when we trade that there's rules to everything, right? We kind of make up these rules as we go along in some of our lives, right? I'm going to try to do a new share here. Just like that. There we go. Share screen. Okay, there we go. So in most of our lives, when we do a rule set when we're trading, right? We tell ourselves, what are the rules that you make for yourself? If you can kind of think just for a second, what's the major rule for trading, right? Most people set it on, well, I need to win, right? So you're looking to try to find something that's a winning mentality, right? And then it becomes, well, what's winning to you? Is it a percentage basis? Is it about money? Is it about time? What is the winning mentality for you? Okay. Secondly, one of the things that I've trained thousands of people in trading, and the first thing that I hear is, how much money can I make? Okay. And sometimes, the second runner up here is the percentage ratio. Okay. Most people right away, they want to know, how much money can I make per month? What is the amount that I can make? What is my percentage rate? Okay. How much time? I'm a truck driver. I don't get to do much time I got to do it on the road, so I don't got a lot of time. So how much time am I going to have to spend? These are the main questions that everybody seems to really boil down to. And there's only one thing that sets this, and that's you. Okay. And the reason why you set this is because I can't tell you how much money you make. It depends on how much money you can afford to start with. I can't tell you what winning percentage rate is. How good are you at following the rules? And how much time? Well, that's again set by you on how much time you have to be able to put to this. You just can't say, all right, let's see, I work 8 hours in a day. Well, let's just say 10 hours, because you got to think about travel time and there and to and settling down. So 10 hours, right? I sleep an average of 8 hours. So there's 18 hours. Oh, I got 6 hours through the day that I can do this. The answer is no. We don't usually spend that much time. Okay. Most of us do our 10 hours a day, travel to and from. We have our 8 hours of sleep. Most of us are usually about 6, the little older you get. And if you're younger, it's about 10. Okay. And that leaves you about 6 hours left over. Well, some of the 6 hours, you're having a beer, or you're watching some television, or you're doing something that's, whatever, life set, right? So you don't have 6 hours. You probably have about 2. You have about 2 hours, 2 to 4 hours that you could possibly do a day in trading. Unless you make this your full-time gig and then you have 14 hours a day. But then it's way too much. So the big questions of the U factor, all right, is how do I set this time? Well, first off, if we talk about money, if we're setting the U factors, we're going to call this the U factor. You have to ask yourself those questions. How much time do I have? You have to set that. Now, if this is your full-time gig, if you want this to be your full-time gig, the U factor for time is that it's not just about time trading, it's about time learning as well, right? You have to spend the time learning it. So if you don't set the time learning it, you won't have time making it. You'll never get to that point, right? And then as you're learning, you need to look at the data that you performed during this time, because you're looking to get to consistency. Okay? And consistency is really important, because if you don't get to consistency, you'll never get to a point of making it profitable over a long period of time. Yes, there are people who can guess the market well enough to get some good trades in, but they usually fail over a longer period of time. I want to teach you how to get to a point of consistency that you can simply make your consistency, add your volume, so you can get to that goal that you've been hunting for. If not, then we're going to get stuck in the same rut over and over again. Okay? So the other U factor is set on not just time now, but it's money. So again, you have to kind of set out, you have to answer some questions for yourself. How much money do you have to be able to put into a broker? Let's just say we're going to be using Nadex, because that's what we're going to be trading our 5-minute trades on. This is the North American Derivative Exchange. It's a governed brokership that's over here. It's an exchange. And it's called the North American Derivative. Now, derivative is something that doesn't actually physically touch the market, and it speculates the market, and it creates like a bet between two people, and gives you an opportunity to be above or below a certain number at a certain time. We can go into much more of that later. The system doesn't really matter at the moment. The exchange doesn't matter. We're talking about trading and Forex and timing and creating an opportunity. So with any opportunity, you need to know, how much money do I need? Well, by law, I can't tell you exactly how much you need, but I can tell you what I do, okay? In the factors of us trading, I usually trade about $30. There's about, every time I win, I'm winning about $30 per contract. Now, I could do multiple contracts, as many as I can afford to do, okay? But when I do that, I'm winning 30, but if I lose, I'm going to probably lose 70, right? And right off the bat, you need to know that this is a heavy risk side. But because the opportunity is so heavy on the winning percentage, we kind of overlook this sometimes, okay? And I usually like to trade about 10% of my account balance. So if that's the case, 10%, I need to make sure that I'm at about $700 for every contract that I want to trade. If I want to trade one contract, I better make sure that I have $700 in my balance. If I want to trade two contracts, I want to make sure that I have about $1,400 in my balance. And this will go on and on until, you get to that comfortable range, okay? But the next thing to kind of look at here under the U factor of money is not just how much money do you have to make it, risk acceptable, but also how much money are you looking to make, right? This is going to set some of your margin. So if you're looking to make and again, you can't sit down and say, I need to make $5,000 tomorrow. This ain't the system, okay? Especially if you're just starting out, okay? How much money do you have? How much money do you have? It's the first question. The next question to answer is, how much money do you need to make per month? Because there's two goals to set. There's a now goal, right? Because that's set by what you have right now. And then there's a future goal, right? And that future goal is, how much money do you need to make from this? Like if you're trying to make it as a full-time gig, 4 to 6K is very easy to get to after about 2 to 3 months of working really hard. You could possibly get to that, but your balance has to be able to increase on this side, right? The money on the have side. So you either need to increase it by wins or increase it by, excuse me, dumping money into it. Make sense? And the last feature is, and the question that you really do have to answer is more of a statement, is how much money are you prepared to lose, and spend? That doesn't go to the ROI, which is return on investment, okay? And this is what a lot of people forget, is that buying into a product, getting your tools, getting all that stuff ready is part of your ROI directly, or indirectly, I should say, but directly can't be held against it, right? So let's just say you spend $97 a month with us, okay? Or 197. Let's just make it extraordinary, right? Make it really crazy out there. This number will eventually get absorbed in the number of your goal, right? But while you're learning, how much money do you have to spend on training to get to there? Because you're going to be doing training on this timeline. And then if here is where profit starts to happen, and this say 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, okay? How many months will it take you to get to this point? This is the only U factor that I can help you answer almost immediately. The average people get to right about here, that 3 months. So you got to make sure you have the money to spend to be able to get to that side of it. Why? Because if this stops, so does this. For now, until your tools, until you've learned, until you got to that point. Okay, so the U factor for money is these three. The money you have to start with to trade, For some reason, my pen's not working. The money you need to make, because you need to be able to set these goals and set these amounts. And the money you have to spend pre-ROI to get to making it happen. All right. Now, these factors also are all really, because they are the U factor here. You set this, so you can engage with this. This is the only one that can sort of be shown, by statistic value of how long does it take for people to get there. But again, really does come down to how fast can you learn? How much time are you spent into it? Okay, so let's just go back a little bit here. I'm just going to delete some of this stuff here. Now, we talked about a few things so far on the U factor. The main system of learning how to trade comes in to be able to following the rules, okay, and what we call the flow, right? And if we write this out, we go flow equals rules. And how willing are you to follow these rules will depend on your immediate success. And that brings us down to the last process of the U factor, and that's percentage rate. The percentage rate of success on the average, if following the rules, is 90 to 95% success of successful individuals who follow the rules to a T. And what I mean by this is like people like myself, there's a handful of people that I'll show you throughout the series that follow the rules to this level of success. And if you follow the rules of this trading system, if you follow the flow, if you don't trade too much, you can become very successful. Now, why is this the average? Why is it set by me? Because by you, under the U factor, is because if you break the rules, if you trade too much, if you push your luck, if you revenge trade, your percentage rate will plummet. And your success rate is the most important thing because it helps set your consistency in the equation. Now, before I move on, I'm going to show you something. Percentage rate does matter, okay? But in some cases, it depends on the risk value reward system. So if you're winning 30, but you're losing 70, if I win 5 trades in a row, I'm going to make $150. But let's just say then I lose 3 trades. I just lost $210. My risk factor is a little bit skewed, right? But in most cases, I can trade 10 times and only lose once. So every, I won't say every 9 trades I'm going to lose exactly 1, but this would be the ratio of that 90%. Okay. So when I win, I'm winning $30. When I lose, I'm losing 70. What does that look like? Well, let's count it out. Okay. So it's $270 won there. And I'm minus 70 because I lost that one. That comes out to be a profit margin of $200. Now my break even is that I have to be down, and it's real easy to figure out. I need a 70% success rate at least just to break even. You see, it kind of matches here, right? Because this has to equal $100 in the trade. If I win $40 and I lose $60, you see? So it almost turns to a percentage rate there. So I have to have a winning ratio of at least 70% to break even. Anything above that is winning. But I can't do anything with this unless I follow the rules. Okay? So let's do this. The last factor, and we've already talked about that, you know, from, let me go back here even further here. Let me see if I can bring up that next one. Okay, we talked about money. We talked about consistency. We talked about time. Okay? And once you get these factors and you get that U factor on, now we need to talk about what the rules are. And let's do that right now. The first thing we do is when we're trading with this flow, the first thing we're going to look at is trend. Now, if you're familiar with market and seeing a candlestick chart, you'll understand what I'm talking about. If you're not, then you still got a lot of learning to do. Okay, and I'll teach you all that stuff inside. But trend is the market understanding that something is moving upwards. Now, the market goes up and down, right? Now, so if this was a graph chart, if this was a line chart of the market, let's just say it's the Euro USD, okay? And it's done in a pair system, the Euro and the United States dollar, okay? And the market goes up on the Euro, okay? And it hits a certain level, and then it pulls back, right? Because on either side, there's buyers or sellers. So you get buyers winning, and then you get a drop in. Okay, somebody, there's a whole bunch of sells happening, and then it hits a level, and then goes up further, and it hits another level, then drops back down a little bit, up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little bit, and you see each one of these levels where it reverses in the opposite direction. This would be a high, and this would be a higher high. This would be a low, and this would be a higher low. So when this kind of format happens, this is called an uptrend. And in the uptrend is you're looking for these factors. The other idea of a trend, okay, is, let me pull this all back. Let me write this in. If the market has been going down, you're going to get lower highs and lower lows, okay? From this position as well, a third trend. So there's an uptrend, there's a downtrend, and then there's basically like a consolidation, if you will. And you'll see that the highs and lows really don't break two levels, okay? And this is called consolidation. let me back up here. Consolidation. Okay, and consolidation means the market's really unsure. The buyers and sellers are both winning. Okay, they're both playing right in the same numbers, and they're hitting certain levels and reversing, hitting certain levels and reversing. Okay, so in this process, you're looking for a trend, either down or an up, and you're looking to make trades only at a certain period of time, because our system, as the trend formulates, will give you arrows, right? So here you might have an up arrow, then you might have a down arrow at a point, okay? You might get another down arrow, and then an up arrow, and then another down arrow, okay? This first, as trend starts to develop, Arrows that go with the trend are considered with the trend arrows, and ones that are against the trend are called pullback arrows because the market pulls back to a certain level, okay? And then the very first arrow after a pullback arrow, in most cases, once a trend has been established, is the money signal, okay? And we do this for a reason, because there's other ways to get the trades happening, even buying on certain, on with continuation arrows, but we only focus on after a reversal, after a pullback arrow, there is a very good chance. This is the 90% plus winning ratio arrow on our 5-minute system. Now we're trading in a market value of 5 minutes. All right, so every bar that we're going to look at is going to be in a 5-minute detail, but we'll cover that here in a little bit. Okay. So this concept of using the trend as your friend is very clear. Okay. So when you're trading either with an uptrend or a downtrend, being able to establish that and make sure, because sometimes, you know, a market may be something like this. It may not be very clear. Okay. But people go, all right, well, it started here and it ended here, so this is a downtrend. No, not that simply. Because if you got to this point right here and you had a down arrow right here, okay, you had a couple up arrows, and then you had a couple up arrow right here, and you had a down arrow right here, you would have lost this trade. But why is that? Well, as the market comes down, it established a high here, right? And the arrow is above that high, because the next one, the arrow should have been down below. If the arrow is right here, this is more of a probability that it's going to win that 90%. This one breaks the trend and doesn't give you a clear trend value. And that's what we teach you what to look for, because sometimes there is a false arrow. Why? Because anything can happen in this market. The market could have set up for that. And it's not precog. We're not looking into the future. We're just using the averages of that availability. So this arrow was formulated here by the data set from here. Okay, and it's the same thing in availability of an uptrend too. So you're not looking to make every single trade. The next thing you look to afterwards, okay, after you've established that trend is great. We know the trend is a downtrend. We got all the arrows going in the direction. We had the one up arrow. Then we had the next down arrow. That's the money one. Yay. Right? That's what we got. Now we need to look at SR. And SR stands for support and resistance. Okay. And support and resistance. You know those levels that I was talking to you about earlier on? Okay. All those little highs and lows, these little levels of price. Sometimes, if this is a block of, say, 1 hour, okay, sometimes at other times, okay, may meet up. Sorry. If this was the previous hour, so this is 2 hours prior to, they may be at certain levels that make sense to this particular time period. So these levels that are met up from previous times are referred to support and resistance. And simply enough, if price meets a certain level and it's underneath a line from before, let's say the market really did a number here and it's created this mark of information here, right? That this line now becomes a level. When the price is underneath it and the line is above it, it's considered resistance. And if the line is below it, or if the price is above it and the line is below price, it's considered support because it's supporting it up. Here it's resisting it, and down here it's supporting it. So if the price is above it here, this line is considered support, but as soon as it travels underneath, this line now becomes resistance. Make sense? So what we're looking for is that when the arrows appear, let's just say, I'll redraw this one here real quick. Okay, and let's say we had a support line here, a support resistance line here, and we had another line here. And we had an up arrow here, a down, an up, okay, and then a down here. This trade setup of two arrows going down with the trend, and then the up arrow doing the pullback, and then this arrow being the first one, the money one, right? This is the money shot right here. Then the idea here is that where is the support and resistance line compared to this arrow? If the arrow was above, like say if you had a support line here, okay, and we had a down arrow here, this is a possibility that this trade's going to lose because this line is just created as support, and it's going to support that price. So it's going to push against it, and there's a possibility of losing. The success rate is very low on those particular trades. But if it was just like we left it, the arrow is here and it's underneath support. Now this is considered resistance. This is just going to help our efforts that it's not going to touch this line. Okay. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for where's support and resistance at. It's the same thing to be true with an uptrend as well. Thirdly, once all this happens, we need to go to our exchange price. Okay. And our exchange is Nadex. And Nadex has what they refer to as a market price. Okay, so we need to make sure that market price is available and at what level the indicative price is at. Okay, and the indicative price really all depends on Nadex's value of indication there. And we'll go over that more in future videos. But we need to find a good market price. So if we get to, let's just say, we get the Euro USD for 1.1700, okay? And we see on the line that the market value, we get an arrow, we see what the value is, and it's this value here. And we go to Nadex, and Nadex and let's just say it's a buy or it's a sell, right? So we want it to be underneath 1.170 within that next 5 minutes. And we get over to Nadex, and all they have is 1.1704, okay? This is not a good matchup. Okay, because we'll be 4 pips off. We'll be 4 pips out of the direction that we needed to be in, and they may not even have a good market price on this indicative price. So what we're looking for when we get over to Nadex is that the market price is available, and we can make $30, at least $30 per contract on that trade. If not, then we don't want to trade. I'm serious, because if we can't set all 3 of these up to be in our favor, the trends in our direction, support and resistance in our direction, and the market price is good, then we don't take a trade. Now, this will knock out 95% of all signals. Will be knocked out by this. So we're really only trading 5% of the signals. Now, let me tell you right now, there are a lot of signals. And I'm telling you this because there's just so much here. I'll show you right now. Let me pull over. Where is my system here? Hang on one second. I'm going to do my new share. I'm going to do the whiteboard. Give me one second. Do. All right, let me get over to it. Signals, 5-minute signals. Okay. There are a lot of signals that happen per hour. You see all these arrows that happen. And if they're going with a trade, if you're going with the signal, you see here's where we were showing you before that if we have the downtrend. Okay, let me pull up screen here. Right there. Okay, lower highs, lower lows, and then see how these 2 arrows filter down, and the very first up arrow. Now, because this up arrow, and because these are this is the within trend, and then this is the pullback arrows, right? So we would be looking for a perfect signal of an arrow being down below this process here, right? So there's a lot of arrows that happen within a certain period of time. But let me tell you right now, this is never about how many signals can I take in. This is never about how many signals, how many pushes can I make in oh, look at all these arrows. I'm going to take that one. I'm going to take that one. I'm going to take this one. There's like 12 different trades I could take. I got 7 different pairs that I can use. No, this is never about that. This is about patiently waiting for the flow to happen and being patient enough, almost like a sniper, that when the time comes, you can get your trade. And so you can kind of see there are a lot of trades available. Now, if only 5%, let's just say there's an average. If we look back, and this is just from this morning at 10 a.m., which is about 2 hours, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, about 20 per window. For over the last 2 hours, it's about 80 trades in there. So about 40 trades an hour. So 10 trades per each one over a period of 2 hours. So 18 trades available per pair per hour. Okay. So maybe about 10 trades per hour that were available if you took every single arrow. But since we're only taking about 5% of the arrows, okay, so we're only getting about 1 trade an hour, possibly. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to take 4 trades because we're using 4 pairs. But I want you to look at something. And here's where a lot of people kind of lose their mind at. Okay, I'm going to do a new share here. Get back over to the whiteboard. I'm going to clear all drawings. If I take 1 an hour, okay, and let's just say I'm going to sit for an average of 2 hours and watch my computer. That's about 2 trades, right? And during those 2 trades, I win $30. So that's about $60 over a period of 2 hours, about $30 an hour. Okay. And if I do that, I'm not looking to do that for 5 hours during the day. Okay. I'm looking at taking the availability and taking my time and looking for those perfect trades. Why? Because I know one thing's for sure, that if I make it consistent, that if I sit down for 1 to 2 hours a day and I can make between $30 and $60 because I'm really only trading 1 contract at a time, then how much money can I make? Okay, and that's what it's really got to come down to. How much money can I make sitting down at my computer trading 1 contract at a time? Because this is 1 contract. So if 1 contract equals $30 and I trade 1 to 2 hours a day and I trade 5 days a week, okay, that's about 10 trades, right? Out of that 10 trades, if I lose 1 during the week, on one side, okay, I'm sitting at about 90% success rate at that point. I'm winning 9 and I'm losing 1, okay? So where did we say in the beginning? About 270 a week, or 271 and then minus 70, so about $200 a week. Trading 1 contract at a time. How do I make more money? It's going to blow your mind immediately. I don't trade more times per day. I simply trade more contracts. So if I were to increase my contracts to 2 contracts, I'd be making $400 a week. If I traded to 3, see where this is going? $600 a week. If I trade to 10, that's $2,000 a week. Some of you don't even make that per month or bi-monthly. It's about $4,800, about $6,000, $8,000 a month. Okay. But again, like I said in the beginning, how much money do you have? You have to have a good balance in there. If you're trading 10 contracts, you can win $300 per trade, but you can lose $700. You times that by 10%. Okay, that's $7,000 you need in your account to be able to buffer yourself to trade at this level. If you don't have $7,000 in your account, don't trade. Okay, so the concept here is simple. Following the flow will get you to your prospective goal, but only if you follow it to a certain level. You don't need to sit down and follow the flow 7 hours a day. Because here's the other thing too. It's the mentality. It's slowing yourself down to only force yourself to trade between that 1 to 2 times. Okay, looking for perfection within what we refer to as your Einstein window. Okay, and your Einstein window happens whatever time it happens for you. Remember the time factor, the U factor for time is when do you have time to trade? Where it's perfect, right? You close the door, you got no distractions, nothing's happening, and you have the time. Okay. 2, you need to have the money to be able to trade. You come in here with $100, you don't have the money to trade. And there's 3 factors of money to trade on. There's the money you have, okay, to trade. Okay. The money you want to make, money to make. Okay. And the money to spend on training. Okay. And of course, the percentage is all about the flow. You can do this. You can do anything. I can guarantee you that. You can follow the rules of each one of these. You follow the rules of the flow. You can do anything. You just set your mind to it, crawl to it. And that'll bring me to my last little bit of information. If you start out at one trade, one contract at the time, to make that 30, to sit down in front of your computer 1 to 2 hours, how long will it take you? Well, your first couple of weeks will be spent making that race to 700, right? If you start at $700, you got to get to 1,400 before you can trade a second contract. And what is that going to take you? That's 20 trades, 30 trades, 20, 25 trades. Simply, let's just do this. 700 divided by 30. About 25 trades, because if you're going to lose 2, possibly in there. Okay, so about 25 trades you want to get to. And if you're doing 1 or 2 every day, this might take you a month to get to. If it took you a month to get to that, that's okay. Yes, you are spending money, but you're not taking money out of your bank. You're not taking money out of your Nadex account to pay for Dex Trader. And if it took you a month to get here to this one, how fast is it going to take you to get it to the next time with 2 contracts going? Half the amount of time, 2 weeks. It took you 3 days, or a month to get, or a week to get to this first one. It should take you 3 days to get to the next one. And then from here, from 4 contracts, it should take you a week. Get what I'm saying? And then you incrementally crawl like this. Now, what happens if you get to 2 contracts, you're at the $1,400 and you lose your first one? And it drops you back down to, say, $1,360 or whatever it is, right? Well, guess what happens? You go back down to 1 contract till you do to what? Till you get to 1,400 again. So I hope this really finds you well. I hope you're able to see some of the information in here is very important for some of you that are trading this willy-nilly all over the place. Let me trade 1,000 times. I need to make $7,000 by tomorrow. You need to knock it off. If you really want to be a professional trader, if you really want to make this work, you need to sit down and follow this flow. And it doesn't, it doesn't matter if it's my 5-minute system or whatever system is out there. If you got something that can give you a yield where you can sit down and win it progressively, even if it's over a long period of time at first, I don't care if you're making $1 a day at the end of it, incrementally crawling up and applying this value. If you got any winning percentage, if you are any ROI at the end of 1 month of practice with it, unless you're sitting down for like 5,000 hours a day and all that kind of nonsense, then it's not worth it. Okay. So I hope this finds you well. I look forward to seeing you inside. There is a, let me see if I can get over to it real quick. New share, and do desktop. If you're watching this for the very first time, go to the Getting Started page, okay? Hit Nadex. You're going to get to a Nadex package here It's 147 bucks. Get started. Okay. The reason why I say this is because this 147 bucks, remember that part I was telling you about? How much money do you have to spend for training and that kind of stuff? This is not the 197 that I was saying that was in the window. Okay, it's 50 bucks off of that. And if it takes you 2 months, you're going to spend close to 300 bucks. What are you looking to get out of it? Is it worth 300 bucks to you? I'm pretty sure it is. And even if you do go through it, this is the cleanest system and the cleanest process in the entire industry. If you can find something better, please let me know, because I'll be in there doing it myself. And as it is right now, I do pretty well. I make between $4,000 to $6,000 a month in training. And as I trade with that amount of money, I also train other people because I want them to go through the same process of getting to that level. But that's taking me months. I'm even now doing a process where I'm using my live account right now, and I've shrunk it back down to $1,000. We just started. I won my first one this morning because we just started this series now called Crawling with Max. I'm basically documenting exactly everything that I've done, because here's what I've won through August so far up to this point yesterday. And then I cleared my account out last week. 1042 was for this month. Last month was $4,244. Again, look at this. There's some days that, I trade in 1 day, 2 days. There's 4 days off. There's 2 days off. There's 4 days off. There's 3 days off. So, and even then for the first 2 weeks last month, I didn't trade. Okay. So the concept here is that if you're going to make the money, if you're going to sit down and really do this, you got to follow the rules. You got to follow a process. All right. I'm going to let you go. There is a tremendous amount of learning inside that can come to you, and you'll have the availability of talking to me and working with me. So don't think that 147 is not well spent. And if you can't figure it out, if it happens that it doesn't work out for you, at least now you know that this isn't something that can work for you. And I'll always keep the system open for you. All right. I'm Max Farrow. This is Dex Trader. I really look forward to seeing you inside. And as always, this is really lame. As always, trade well. We'll see you next time.